All right.
Ladies and gentlemen of Ballet International and the YouTube audience, today this is a new interview we are having with Mr. Péter Copek. And of course, as you may know, with the other interviews with other artists, we usually do the same questions, how they started ballet, how they nurtured the art of ballet, the same thing that I'm going to do today. But I wish you all to listen well to what he's going to explain, because he had good experience in ballet, professional experience in ballet, also contemporary dance, but he also had very difficult situation to face and to try to resolve by himself. I may say also that these experiences that he had are very sad, are very unlucky for the ballet dancer, that a ballet dancer should never experience. So I prefer that he will lay out all the experience he had in different countries, because he has been working in different countries. He's a wonderful artist and he is highly acclaimed everywhere, and his work is highly appreciated, especially by the young dancers and by the young artists of ballet and contemporary dance. Good evening, Mr. Péter Copek. How are you doing?
Hi, Jean-Pierre. Thank you very much. I'm quite good. Having quite a nice and busy period lately. How about you? How is everything by you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Everything is fine. Thanks God. I'm very
That's
pleased. I'm
the
very
most.
pleased and honored to have you today in this interview, because I think it's going to be a very special one. So, may I call you Peter directly?
Yes, please do that. That's the
Okay.
best way.
So,
Yes, thank you.
Peter, at what age did you start learning ballet or contemporary dance?
That's it's quite a long story. I will try in a wonderful amateur dance school back in Budapest in 2001. So I was nearly 12 years old, and I
Yes.
started with show dance. And through I got into the national team for competitioning. And when we went to these international competitions, world championships, I saw lots of modern dance, and I got really hooked into that. So after that, I decided that I would like to go more into modern dance direction. And a few years later, I got accepted to one of the most known Hungarian conservatories in your city. There is residing actually Győr Ballet. It's a very famous company after the National Ballet of Hungary. And I started to study there from my age 15. And I was in the modern dance department. But beside the modern dance, we had a very, very strong classical ballet education also. And after I had graduation, I got a job in Budapest in a modern dance company with the traditional old modern lines, which was very, very inspiring to me. But then life had a twist. So I went back to study into the Netherlands when I was 20. And I did my bachelor there. And I graduated as a modern dancer also. But only my life, actually, classical ballet was following me.
Mm.
And ironically, now at the moment, I'm a graduate from the Folkwang University of Arts in Essen, Germany. And actually, I'm graduating my classical ballet master educations. I'm done in 1 month with it.
So
So
from Hungary, so you are originally from Hungary, from Budapest.
yes, born and raised in Budapest, yes.
Okay, so from Hungary, you traveled to Netherlands, and then from Netherlands, you went to Germany.
To Germany.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
And so who were your teachers?
Well, actually, in the Hungarian conservatory, I had teachers who were, most of them, they were former solist dancers of the old Győr Ballet.
Yes.
and they had an incredible knowledge of classical ballet. Also, through the years, who they worked with different choreographers, guests, they gave us this knowledge.
Mhm.
So one of my most precious teachers is female Péter. Very sadly, she passed away about 3 weeks ago.
Oh,
But she really gave me something as in pedagogy, in artistry, which I'm still carrying with myself. My other master, actually, who I count with, he was not a teacher. He was my boss, let's say that, from the first company in Budapest where I was working with
yes.
in modern dance. Unfortunately, he's also passed away in 2018. His name is Mark Fenyves, and he was a true polyhistor who also gave me a huge
Yes.
influence to
Yes.
with educating by intelligence, emotional intelligence, and giving a strong vision for arts to really go for the depth in things and treating the students with the most delicate human way
Yes.
and finding these little nuances in them to grab it and develop it. So he was another very huge artistic and pedagogical influence to me. So
Yes.
that's the Hungarian side.
Yes. And then when you traveled to Netherlands, who were
The
you?
Netherlands was very interesting to me because actually I studied in two schools. First, I studied in Artes in Arnhem, which is a very, very contemporary profiled school. I had there wonderful teachers as well as Philip Taylor. He's a British dancer, incredible in Graham technique. I think he was a dancer of Rob Cohen's company.
Mhm.
I had another wonderful teacher, Aryeh Weiner. He's an Israeli-born dance artist. He was one of the early NDT dancers, and he was a dancer at the Limon company
Mm.
in the USA. And I had another very, very close sweetheart teacher from Brazil, Marta Naim. She was my ballet teacher, and I really highly admire her. And there was one more figure who I really appreciate from this school was John Blickandal, who was really, really mentoring me in these 2 years artistically,
Yes.
taking care of me almost like a father.
Yes.
And then I went to the Rotterdam Dance Academy, which is now it's known as Codarts University of Arts. It's the one of the main schools in the Netherlands. And there I met this very diverse, versatile way of teaching, of giving a huge respect for classical ballet, which actually I missed. That's why I went. Very strong modern technique and also very, very strong, broad understanding of contemporary dance.
Yes.
So I went there in my third year, which meant we had countless guest teachers from different flavors, bits and bytes. So we had really the chance to figure out where we want to go artistically.
Yes.
And there actually I had teachers. Actually, in this school, actually, I had also the chance to work with Yuri Kilian personally, which was for me another huge impact in my artistry, and also the novelty how he was working with us in these 2 weeks. I was very, very happy to be selected in this project with some of my classmates, and we were performing at the Corso Theater in Den Haag, which is the one of the main theaters there. And wow, it was just something very incredible experience to me.
So, between Budapest, Netherlands, and Germany, is there a difference of style and work, and type of work?
Yes, actually, there is. Hungary is, if I may say, because since 13 years I'm not really home, but what I see, there is now a little bit of a identity crisis, how I feel, because there is still this very old traditional way of work from the Soviet era.
Yes.
But there is this new upcoming generation of young artists who really would like this change to come from abroad.
Mhm.
So there is now this transit period.
Yes.
So actually, when I teach in Hungary, which started to happen in the past 3 years, I also want to bring this fresh human way approach, more movement-oriented way of working. The Netherlands is, I really, for me, these 4 years was something life-changing because I learned a lot about myself as a dancer too. Because what is the Dutch pattern in dance is that they don't force this canonized system on the dancers, which is still in the old Soviet system they quite tend to do.
Yes.
It's more about learning what your body is capable of, what you can do on the certain level, what you have, and build upon that, how can you develop yourself.
Mhm.
Also, they work with probably it's also just the richness of the country provides it and the level of the school. We had the chance to really work with dancers or with the assistant of famous choreographers who were in A-list companies. We had former dancers of Bacheva teaching us. We had former NDT dancers, like one of my ballet teachers, Anna Fantol. She was dancing in NDT in the first generation company with Yuri Kilian. So we had all these incredible dance artists, who were giving us this tremendous, beautiful knowledge. Also, for example, the assistant of Nacho Duato came to teach us for 2 weeks classical ballet.
Mm.
So we had all this huge influence. So we really could taste every single dance styles. And Germany to me is something for me in between these two, because Germany is also has this individual aspect of dance, but still for me I sense it's still a bit on a systemized way.
Mm.
And I think it's now evolving even because I was on the Staatsballett Berlin school. They started to really open up, working with more and more contemporary artists. So I think Germany is also on the right track towards what the
Yes.
Dutch
Yes.
dance education has.
Mm. And when you talk about the dance who is linked with the Soviet
Mm.
type of work, do you mean that is more linked with a classical base? Or
Yes, on a way also, but it's also the pedagogy. I mean, now it's changing also, but I remember still ballet masters of mine who were screaming with us, throwing the key on us and being very, very harsh. Like, I show it once, you must know it, and you should be not stupid. What are you doing? Get out of my class. So we still had this kind of passive aggressive or openly aggressive, this verbal way of
yeah,
crushing the student in order to grow.
yeah,
And for example, to for my point of view, work with everyone individually. Because through my career also I saw sometimes the ones who were, let's say, overly, let's say, on a very slangy way hyped.
yes,
They were, after the first failure, they collapsed because they couldn't bear the failure. So I think it's very important to treat every single student for their level. Sometimes somebody might be just shy, or needs more time to unfold like a flower. And
yes.
it's always not, it's like a food, like the more you cook a food, more flavors, more care you take.
Mm.
Um, I think dance is also, it's an art.
I think we are having a problem. I think we are having a problem with internet.
Hello?
Yes, I think we are having a problem with internet.
Because actually, what shall we do?
No, no, it's okay. Just continue.
Okay, all
Uh,
right.
if you see that we have some cuts, it's my internet because I'm using the mobile as internet.
Ah,
For the
okay.
video, I'm using the computer, so I use the mobile as a hotspot, you see.
Okay.
So, so from Germany, then where did you start the experience? Did you start with choreographing, teaching?
Yeah. Actually, it's also actually everything started for me in Hungary in this first company because I had this. I was very lucky to get into this company because my bosses they had this very very high demand on us as artists to be there, and I was the youngest dancer. I was 19. I just exit, and
Yes.
I was surrounded by dancers. The next youngest dancer was 29, then 30, 35. So they were all these mature, experienced people, and
Yeah.
I was the baby, let's say that. So we got a lot of tasks. When I entered, the first thing, like, learn this piece, that piece, this piece, that piece. Because in October we dance, and it was in August, you know. I had not much time to learn. So I remember in this season, actually, I had 11 pieces to learn. And beside that, we had also this workshop working as creating choreographies, our own works. And we were all the time mentored by our bosses also to strengthen our skills.
Mm-hmm.
So through that, I could already learn. But even in the ballet school, I was choreographing. I went for the young choreographer in the ballet school. Also, I had always this
Mixture.
interesting choreography. So even for the competition, when I was an amateur in age 14, I choreographed my own solo.
Mm.
So I always enjoyed that. Then, of course, in Netherlands, we had also chances as students to go create, so on and so on. And somehow I always ended up in companies where we had the chance to add our own flavor. And then in the German theater system, we always had this young choreographer program where we had an evening where the dancers who wanted to create, we had the chance to work.
Mm.
And then actually after that, I went to Hungary also. I created for the conservatory as well choreography. So it started to roll somehow, you know. And through that, I started to also understand my artistic vision, who I am, what I want. And around it now, I'm also working on to build a methodology because I
Yes.
have a very, I have my own vision, my own inspiration, my lines of movement.
Yes.
So I'm really started to systemize them.
Yes.
So hopefully in a few years, yeah.
If I may ask, how old are you now?
I am 33.
33.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you have to make a choreography, what is that you do the first? Is the music who is inspiring you, or
Mhm.
is it you that you prepare the steps and you adapt them to any type of music?
Whew, good question. Actually, I do both ways. I'm really spontaneous with choreography because I'm very much, I believe in energy, and it's not on an astral way. I'm very intuitive. I can tune on mood of people.
Yes.
So usually I see a group and I start to sense them. I usually give a workshop first to see the movements. How can they adapt? Who are them?
Yes.
Sense, okay, this person has this interesting energy. She has that here. Okay. Then after I start to look for a music.
Mm.
And then the music creates me this atmosphere. Would it fit with this group?
Yeah.
Ah, I think so. What is the topic? Okay. So I start to outline something, an atmosphere, because I believe in ecosystem in choreography. It's like
Yeah.
I like to bring a world to the stage, a
Yeah.
whole with everything.
Yes.
So I start to work with the dancers or with the students, and somehow I always have this like a reach. I start to see the weakness of a dancer and the good side too.
Yes.
And I like to add both in a choreography because I want the dancer to reach through this challenge something new, which he or she would never believe before that they could do.
Yes.
But I put under this support, which they are strong at.
Yes.
So therefore, because I'm always having an idea, but I also build it on the dancers, it's always very different what I do. There is a certain energy or a flavor, which is me, but
Yes.
it's always a different thing. And also as a choreographer, I believe in reinventing the self, not always stucking for years with the same, because it runs out. It's our responsibility also to
Mm.
renew ourselves like shred of a skin.
Yeah.
And I also don't like to work. I had through my careers often choreographers who said like just improvise something or do some movements there.
Yes.
For me, it's like it's almost it's a blasphemy.
Yes.
So I like to create the movements with the dancer. And when I feel it's a space now for the dancers, put there a movement in this and this and this and this and this context. But something I give you now the space because it's also nice to give a certain freedom for the dancer and also for them to be more sensitive, sensible about the choreography. And if it fits, I'm very happy. If it doesn't, I ask the dancer go further, look for something more specific. So
Yeah.
I like this involving of the dancer through the character, through the energy, but I still want to give my formal way for the dance.
So all this that you have described so far makes part of a beautiful dream because you started in Budapest and the Netherlands and Germany. You started developing your own skills in choreography as a teacher and helping dancers very young. which is a beautiful thing. Now, all this dream that you have described started to change a little bit in some way. So could you kindly describe to our audience how this dream
Yes.
became a sort of nightmare?
Yeah. Well, actually, sometimes I'm thinking, that because of maybe it's a certain idealism, but my dream was to, after my theater life, which ended in 2020, I really had this desire to build a company, a safe space for dancers, a safe space where I can also start to create, working with like-minded
Mm,
artists. That was my idea. So in 2020, in the middle of the COVID, I co-founded the dance company with a former friend who is a Israeli Dutch choreographer, and with a former ballet dancer of Ballet Hagen, where I was working for the last time as a full-time professional dancer, to build a company in this town which will promote high-quality contemporary dance community around that. So we bring something progressive and new for the freelance dance scene in the west of Germany, but also a place for us to create, and also space for more creative influence.
mm,
Because this town had only the theater, of course, with a very nice and strong ballet company.
mm,
So I was working with this choreographer, with this Dutch Israeli choreographer. I was working with him in the past 4 years already. I helped him to come to Germany. One of my former workplaces, he was one of the guest choreographers, and I was really believing in his work. But as the months were passing with this newly formed company, I noticed that I'm doing a lot. I'm bringing the name
mhm,
of the company. My best friend, one of my best friends from Hungary, is a very well-known graphic designer. She was my schoolmate also in year. She made us the logo. I made a web page. So I was giving a lot in this company to run. But in the end, it flipped around that this guy claimed himself as artistic director, which me and the other guy we went with. Okay, he's a more experienced guy. Let's go. But through these months, I realized when the company started to run, anything I was doing was never enough. Everything was by him. That was for me one of the red flags because, like I'm doing the casting, web page, social media, name. I'm dancing even under him. But anytime I was asking for, let me create because it's also my company, I brought it to let me know. So in the end, we started to work with projects. We had the dancers coming, and my idea was to show that we can have a clean, nice, progressive company where everybody is welcome, paid well, fairly treated. No, it was not happening this way because my business partner decided that he wants most of the money. The dancers were underpaid. They were treated terribly. And for me, it was an embarrassment as a co-founder.
mm,
So behind the scenes, I was dancing. I did everything. I had a smile, doing everything, running around. But behind the scenes, Jean-Pierre, we were fighting like crazy because I told him until I'm in this company, which is mine personally, I won't let this happen. These dancers, regardless their age, how many years of experience they have, they must be paid, accommodated properly. If you want, I give up my salary. I told him this because I was earning ridiculous amount actually. I don't want to get into the price. But imagine there's a fund, 60% goes to him because he claims that he's someone. All the rest, the leftover, went to my business partner, to me, and this teeny tiny went for the dancers. So for me, it was an embarrassment because, in my opinion, if you co-found a company new, it must gain a good reputation and
mm,
not this that somebody is having this narcissistic amok and
mm,
then I have to stand behind. So what happened is last year in February, I was betrayed by these two. I was forced out of my business, literally, for pocket money, which I was dumb enough to ask because I still thought, that this company is growing. I should not ask that much money. I left, but there was another point which I asked them, please publish my name about the company that I'm a co-founder, because without me, it would not happen. I mean, the biggest fund we won was because I spent 3 weeks writing that for that fund.
mm,
So they just cut it off. Last year I wrote about that, they were delayed with my compensation, for example. I wrote in the email like, you even don't mention my name, you erased me completely. How could you do that to me,
Hmm.
They ignored completely this fact if I was non-existent. And ironically, I'm a person who doesn't like to make a scandal. And I also grew up in this conditioning that you cannot speak up, that's what we'll think about you.
Yeah.
And I just walked away. But inside me, this grudge, this frustration that this was my child, and I was so proud that in the age 30, I'm building a company. I'm in the marketing, management, funding, dancing. This I brought in the people. It's all gone, taken away, usurped from you. And now actually I'm in touch with many dancers from the first generation who were working with this company. I was already fired, let's say that. They all left without being paid properly. They left in a scandal. So imagine that indirectly, it's also on me a bad um, reputation, and I had nothing to do. In February, I was forced out. And the other reason why I was pushed out, because my salary was not enough. I had to leave. So I took some projects outside, which I was also very honest about. And I said, look, I can do internet work, promotion videos. Let me do the job. But I just cannot dance, because I need to leave.
Yes. But
So this was a very,
if I may ask, Peter, but when you started initially to work and create this company, did you put everything written on a piece of paper, the conditions for each member?
yes, there was conditioning. He claimed himself as the only choreographer. But first, it was orally after agreed that after 2 years, things will change, or I will give you more opportunity.
Hmm.
But it was the contrary, because the more we passed with the year, the less chance for deciding, the less chance to have a word on something was choking up. So basically, this guy has a company in the Netherlands, which doesn't go very well in the past years. So now he's tried to, above us, get his greed that, okay, from Germany, I can get money, I can bring my Dutch company. So he wanted to create a new company on us.
Hmm.
And this was for me very frustrating because it was not what I envisioned.
Yeah.
So every single thing, my position was more like a management, assisting, dancer, creative idea person. But Jean-Pierre, in my own company, my creative ideas were not welcomed, except if I had to cut a dance piece of 1.5 hours of this choreographer,
Hmm.
spending 2 weeks non-stop day and night working. For this, I was good, or be a dancer, represent his work. But this was not the idea which I stood up initially for.
Hmm.
And I felt completely used, exploited. And the moment I started to speak up, like, look, no, no,
Hmm.
he couldn't take it because of huge ego. I was cut. So it's really not nice because even the final agreement between us was ignored, neglected.
Yes, but the final agreement that you were setting on were they written on a piece of paper or they were just by talks, by words?
We had an official meeting about it. We had well, it's also a very funny story because we had an official meeting recorded in the end, and also with the so-called manager. I told him, write it down, or I don't care, put it on a paper. I want this compensation and my name must be everywhere. If you accept this condition, I leave. Because I was forced literally, and they played with the time.
Yes.
We don't have much time. You have to do it because the company can move like this. So I was, like in this pressure, but they said we accept it. Yeah, I think as I remember, it was orally said, but we accept it. Okay, you will be published, and plus the. But in the end, they only paid me out with a 3 month of delay.
But
It's a very tricky situation.
this company didn't had any lawyer that you could talk to.
No, it was not. Like we had there was a lawyer who we were forming the company with, everything. But the problem is, Jean-Pierre, when somebody directs the company who is completely power hungry and doesn't know any rule, any limit, he twists the story around his narrative.
Hmm.
It's really, really hard. And that's the thing now that I'm in touch with the Dancers Connect, which is an organization in Germany. And if things are going well, I'm going to start to make a movement about it because I just feel completely drained by that, you know,
Yes.
that you build something, you are part of something, and because you are honest, you want the best for others, you are rolled out. I find it's just disgusting. Let's be clear. And I'm 33 years old, you know, and I'm in this point of my life that I have nothing to lose. What reputation I would destroy? I'm speaking the truth. What do I have to you know, hide from,
Yes.
especially when there are dancers who went through the same exploitation. Besides, I have the emails from 2022 when we are emailing about that you neglected my need, my point, and it's ignored.
Yeah.
So I think everything stands up for that. And sorry if I'm too long.
No,
It's
no,
really a complex of
no,
situations.
no, but it's good that you highlight everything because
The second thing what happened to me,
it is very good that you highlight all this because this is
oh,
very helpful to young dancers of today.
yes, it's very important that boundaries must be held.
Yes,
And the second thing what happened is that due to this that I had at least not a big income, but something which gave like a backbone for my life, which with extra small jobs I could fill up to have some like a basic living.
yes.
But because of this went out of my life, I had nothing. So I had to look for jobs, but in post-COVID was crazy. But anyways, I went to Egypt for the summer. I was working in
So
schools, was
before,
okay. I came back. But
Peter, before you go to Egypt, this
yeah,
the first sad experience you had was in Netherlands or in Germany? Was it in Netherlands or in Germany, what you have a
it was in Germany. Yeah, I was in Germany. So, you know, if you lose this company, everything, which was most of your work in the past 2 years,
Yes,
was very hard for me to start to do something else in post-COVID also.
yes.
So what happened is I went to Cairo for the summer before my big journey in Egypt. It was just a usual visit, which I had to do
So
always.
you went there in Cairo as a tourist?
And from October,
Peter, did you go to Egypt the first time as a tourist?
as a guest teacher, because actually in Egypt I teach since. Yes.
Mm,
But my story with Egypt goes back to 2016.
okay. So
So I know many schools in Egypt, and I had yeah.
so how did this experience in Egypt went? Can you describe?
Well, Jean-Pierre, I have two experience with Egypt. The crazy experience will be the last step of this nightmare, which I'm still digesting on a way. So basically, in Egypt, I got a job offer
So
through a connection of mine.
talking about the Easy Talent Academy?
Not yet. I'm not there yet.
Oh,
There is a second component because it's a very long process where I ended up in this Easy
okay.
Talent school. Basically, in Egypt, I got another offer, which was by another choreographer, which is another very important lesson for young dancers. I supposed to work in a project in Vietnam with a choreographer who I met in Egypt. He's a Canadian choreographer. The first project a year before was very okay, paid okay, was nice. So I thought, you know, I can trust in this guy. It's a 6-month project. Everything was written, amazing salary, accommodation, food. So I had this idea, you know, that I will save. I finish my school and I will open a school. And story short, well, the whole thing came out that every week there was something why I cannot go. The whole thing came out as a complete disaster, a corrupt black work without a contract. So in the end, with one dancer and another, with two dancers, we started to protest that how comes that there is no contract? How comes that what you promised that we get salary legal, contractual on a bank card, now it's in Vietnam is dong in cash and all that. So the whole thing came out crazy. And what was very offensive to me that the choreographer never stood up for us, never took responsibility. He sent on us his assistants who were every week giving us another fairy tale what is happening. So I supposed to leave from 1st of October. In November, I was still there. I lived up all my last savings. I had nothing. So I was on the moment that my friends were helping me to leave. So in the end came Easy Talent, came up as a job opportunity, which was for me the last standstill to keep up working. So due to this Vietnamese thing also, I put my trust in something which is a complete scam. Basically, I lost my flat. I lost everything. I lost my last money. So before I left to Egypt, I sold everything which I worked for. I built up. I got rid of my flat. So from this money, I paid out my debts, which came through this 1.5 months of not being working. And then I moved to Egypt. And
So
Easy Talent is a very
from Vietnam, you went
Hmm?
directly to Egypt.
No, with Vietnam, the case was that until the middle of November, I reached the point that I just told to the choreographers that after they told us that the budget ran out of this whole production, they cut out almost 40% of my salary, what was promised. Everything was not what it was. So I said to them, you know what, thank you very much. I don't want to get into this craziness. I'm a professional dancer. I have my value. And for this money, I'm not going to work 6 days a week for half a year, performing 3 times a day and be in these conditions, because even the accommodation was something where cockroaches were running around. And on the photos, we got this impressive, beautiful place. Everything what was said was not right. So it was the millions of red flag. But still, I was waiting because I was hopeful that, okay, now I can go, I do a last dancing job, and then I can start a new chapter. So after that came Easy Talent. I was still in Germany. So what I could do, selling everything I have to somehow pay out my debts and go to Cairo. In Cairo, also many, many things were promised, and it turned out to be a complete nightmare.
So in Cairo, who we are referring now to Easy Talent Ballet.
Yes, correct. Now we are referring to Easy Talent, yes.
Did they invited you or you went there by your own?
Yeah, I would say both. Because in summer, like normally when I'm in Egypt, Egypt to me is a sweetheart land since 2016. Every summer I go there for a month. I'm in connection with touch with many, many schools. I teach here a few days, another few days there. It was a very nice way of earning money for the holidays. Also, I met really nice schools. Actually, I never had a bad experience. And I was thinking, there's this Easy Talent, they claim themselves to be super professional, high level, absolutely net organized place. I will try, I will text them, can I teach a summer workshop there? So the director, Miss Nina, was telling me that no, at the moment they don't have space for summer workshops. However, they're looking for a ballet teacher. Can I spread the word? But in that time I saw the offer, it sounded very nice. The salary was nice, or the things were sounding nice. I was like, okay, maybe I can take this opportunity. This was before this Vietnamese wonderful work opportunity. So I was like, okay, like I will keep it in mind. I told her I'm very interested. And, the months were passing, then came up Vietnam. I told her, look, I have this opportunity. I would like to go with that. I like to be, always transparent with people. So I told her what's happening. And in the end came up that no, Vietnam failed. So Nina, I'm coming. So that was the thing. So I booked my flight and I moved to Cairo. And with Easy Talent, the crazy thing was that the more the time was passing, the more and more weird, surreal things were happening there.
Could you describe some of these weird things that happened to you when you were in working
Yeah.
Easy Talent?
Yes, first of all, to me, the first red flags to me on a way were when the director, I was asking about, we had a job interview actually back in September, and every single teacher who was there was always a dramatic end. There was always this victimizing from the director that this teacher was this. There was always a crazy story, which was really hard to believe. One side for me was a trigger, like why is all the time like this, but at the same time I had this empathy towards her, like poor woman, you know, like maybe she really needs someone who keeps it all. And when I arrived to Easy Talent, for me, this lack of acknowledgement of what I came from into there was like, okay, rest yourself out and you start to work, you know?
Mm.
The second red flag, the real red flag, was the flat where I was moved into. She claimed that the flat was cleaned twice, but Jean-Pierre, I moved into a flat which was filthy. It's, you know, in Egypt, things are dusty. It's not the same as, let's say, the European pedant way of cleaning.
Mm.
But that was beyond that. You couldn't live there. And she was like laughing, you know, like that's how it goes here. You can rent a cleaner.
Mm.
In the end, she sent on me her cleaning lady, and she told her, because I knew it, she told her to just ask as much as you want from him. So, I mean, if you expect someone coming from Europe, you know what happened to this guy. I told her,
Mm.
why, like, wouldn't be the basic is that the guy is coming after a crazy time that I, as my employee, I welcome this guy in an organized, clean flat because it's where he will stay,
Mm.
not in a mess. Then came the next crazy story about from the first week when I felt that the energy is very dense, very heavy.
Mm.
I saw the teachers are like this exhausted all the time, especially an Egyptian one, and I felt like I was suddenly in a factory,
But
and it was a very interesting.
how many
Huh?
teachers how many teachers were you all in one?
In this time, yes, in this time we were four teachers. Actually, the teachers they are really excellent. She somehow always finds good teachers. There was one teacher who became a really, really good friend of mine now. Thanks God he left also the day before me. He's a former ABT dancer, by the way. He's a wonderful Russian guy, incredible, knowledgeable, very, very delicate personality, excellent teacher. There was an Egyptian girl who is also one of the most educated ballet teachers in Egypt. She's incredible, very, very passionate, kind, pure. And there was a very young girl from Kyrgyzstan, but really the Soviet hardcore training way.
Mm.
She's 22, but she's also a very, very precise teacher.
Yeah.
But she's also in the same time very young, so very naive
Mm.
and dependent. So, you know, the thing is that these two teachers, the Egyptian one and the Russian one, they are older, like my age or older. They have more knowledge, understanding. And they were always observing me. I didn't understand why they do that.
Mm.
And for me, another big thing, what was terrible, that my promised salary was, it became half the value. And before I came to Egypt, my boss was encouraging me that the Egyptian currency, which is the pound, it's going to bounce back. Don't worry, it will be okay, your salary.
Mm.
I mean, I'm sorry, if you get half of your salary, how can I live? Then Egypt made this new law of not being able to transact the money outside. And she knew I have a lot of expenses. So we started to communicate. I told her, look, if I work 6 days a week like a slave, how can I earn more? Because I have to pay my school, this and that. We agreed on double of the amount, not on this what you said.
Yes.
It was always according to her law. You cannot teach here, you cannot there. And I asked, what can I do? Work more. I was like, what can I work more? You want me to choreograph, teach, be a photographer, I was hosting an online show actually about classical ballet for her. What can I do more? And basically the thing that happened, I started to realize that actually we teachers are completely exploited. Like we are tools. Imagine that one day before a meeting, okay, tomorrow we have a meeting. It's my free time before work. And then we're sitting there for 3 hours. Who will pay my 3 hours of meeting?
Mm.
Texting me at 1 at night, do this and that. Can you come to this class and can you do that? All the time, this crazy changes. And anytime when you showed like a moment of tiredness, you were belittled. Come on, you don't work enough. It's nothing. So basically, we were put in this slavery that between classes, sometimes I was teaching 5 classes in a row. You
Mm.
had no right for a break between your classes. So it was 5 hours, you worked 5 hours in a row. And as a ballet teacher, you know how hard is even one class sometimes or two, not five, with different age from age 6 until back to the up to the teenagers. And every day of my life was passed like this. So my health was tremendously broken down because I couldn't earn. So what I did in the end, I used my 1 day off per week to go to Alexandria to teach because I was not allowed to teach in Cairo.
Mm.
So I had a talk with her about this, that look, I know from my student that for competitions, but I'm coaching them even because it was also my task to coach them, choreograph, costume design, music for competitions.
Mhm.
The student paid huge sums of money for her private class.
Yes.
Why don't you contribute to my salary? That would be the normal way. She was sitting like, it's not how it goes. You signed the contract. I said, what contract? I said, it's choreography, but if this girl, I know that she signed up for private class, which you said private class, 40% is my money, 60 is yours. She is looking for always these kind of things. So we started to have somehow this heating up on a very subtle way. So in the end, from December until February, I reached a point that I wanted to leave, because I realized I'm in a prison, I'm a tool to make money. I'm not treated as a human. Teachers who are sick. I had a teacher, one of the teachers had fever. She was forced to work because if she's not going to work, she's fired.
Oh.
Because after a while, the teachers started to open up to me. The two older teachers, what is happening? They told me, they warned me, like Peter, we are about to leave. This place is it's crazy, and this woman is capable of anything. So, basically, I became aware. So I started to look for opportunities and jobs. And I had a last final talk with her in the end of February that I asked, like, look, can we find a compromise? Which she obviously rolled off. She only put herself as a victim. And as a good narcissistic person, she started to this gaslighting around me, manipulating, questioning my sanity. I gave you choreographical work to do for the next year, but you didn't accept it. I said, will I get more salary for that? Because it's my free time to choreograph. She was looking like, what more salary? It's like, sweetie, like if I'm choreographing, I have a son and we need to talk about it. So stop manipulating me.
Mm.
So in the end, I agreed upon I quit. So the thing is, that even if I quit, here comes the crazy part. My Egyptian colleague quit before me. She got no paid, no salary. So it was very scary to me. If I work, let's say till 21st of March, I won't get paid for this almost 1 month of work. So, I started this anxiety, tiredness, almost paranoid way, about things. Everything was on me. The classes, I got even more classes because of one teacher went out. And every time I listened, this victimizing of Nina, the boss, like she's the victim, this girl also left and she gave everything to her, all the time this victimize. But inside, you know that it's not true. She's lying. So it became a very sick game. I also learned that every movement of us were recorded on security cameras, regardless if it's a class, we are just in the aula talking. She's watching every moment on her phone. It's almost like a perverse, harassing, stalking person who who penetrates in your privacy. So I felt completely uncomfortable. My salary was ridiculous. I was working 7 days a week for 3 months, so my health was degrading down. I became like a zombie. So in the end, what happened is that my partner, thanks God, he was with me all the time during this process online. We spoke. He's in Germany. I'm with him now. He told me like, look, I know that you want to do your job right. You want to bring till the last what you agreed on. But who is more important, you, your health, or this woman who destroys you? So give up your morals, come back home. We will see what to do. Doesn't matter. Get your salary in February and leave because this woman is crazy and you are in danger. So what happened is, I we booked a flight, everything, and I don't know how. I think it was through the security cameras. I don't know how. Somehow she learned that I want to leave. So basically, by made up reasons, she fired me on the street, literally, day by day, accusing me with things which I would never ever done. And when I asked her, can we talk as human beings? What's going on? I don't understand. At least we could have a chance to talk. But this whole thing went into a tantrum. Like I was forced out on the street in a day. I was teaching in Alexandria the day before. I came home at 2 a.m. Like I washed my clothes. I had no clean clothes because I don't have time. My clothes were on the hanger, wet. I had all my luggage, everything, like And I told her, can I at least have one day to leave? No, out, because it's my house, not yours. However, the contract was on my name written because she doesn't want to take responsibility for rental contract. She pays for it, but it's on my name. So I would be in trouble, not her. After she threw her husband on me because she blocked me on everywhere like a 5-year-old child. I don't exist anymore. I'm out. But I was good to make the choreographies, everything before, you know. Her husband came to me. He paid down policemen because they have this corrupt, crazy network, which is unfortunately in Egypt. It's a thing. There is no protection for anyone. He knows the tax office. He knows the Egyptian police. He knows the immigration. So his neighbor friend is a guy from the police. The guy came with him. They treated me like a cheap criminal. The man was completely like a psychopath, the husband, accusing me with terrible things about offending their culture, which I never did. He was offending my everything, my whole being, you know, and tried to brainwash me, put me in a reality what was not right. So I told him, dude, can you just hear me? What has happened? Like, I want to leave because I'm not treated right. My wife knows, you know, like I was sitting in my own flat, this man in with this big policeman, preaching me, screaming with me, treating me like a cheap criminal. And the crazy thing is that they promised me my salary for February, you know, like regardless you leave earlier or whatever happens, I worked for this money, Jean-Pierre. I choreographed and I didn't just choreograph for these girls' contemporary dance. I worked with them as young artists, which they never experienced before. And ironically, these numbers in this champion DVC competition, which was in Cairo, one number goes to Portugal to the World Championship. Her daughter, both of her daughters, I was coaching them, almost like a big brother, taking care of them. The bigger daughter, she has always these insecurities. Regardless, I find her a pure, beautiful, talented young dancer. I was working on her confidence, but she needed for her number, you know. I gave my soul in. They were first place, second place, third place. The group got even no placement, was way higher the level. They go to Portugal to the international competition. I got not paid for that. Nothing. Um, After that, I tried to get in touch with them. Can I get my salary? You know, because I worked regardless what happened between us. You know, like please, no. And later on, you know, I came back from Egypt completely collapsed because I had this my company, this Vietnam work. Then this craziness, like I was completely lost in my whole reality. You know, like what's happening? What's going on? Like what have I done wrong? I had a complete crack. And now this weeks I started to understand many things, you know, many teachers from this school, they reached out to me after I spoke out, which I never did before in my life to speak out. I always walk away quiet. They will tell me the craziest stories. My story is a mild crazy. Jean-Pierre, the others have crazier stories. Like this woman has a trauma, I don't know still what. She has one little thing in her mind, you are out. And she creates this whole storyline. And she never has responsibility. If you tell her, why don't you pay me? Why don't you treat me nicely? Why don't you communicate with us? She's like a child, no. But she claims herself as a choreographer, as a professional person. How? You are not a dancer. You don't know anything about us. I even wrote her actually a business plan because her school is dying. So I wrote her a business plan from 2023, September on, what could be an option to, because I know I worked with my company. I learned a lot about marketing, working through. I told her, look at the other schools, what they do, adapt. So yeah, that's in a nutshell, Easy Talent, basically.
And if I may ask, Peter, well, besides that Mrs. Nina behavior was in a certain way very evil with all the teachers,
Yes.
and also there's a mental instability
Yeah.
which you see she demonstrated to everyone.
Mm.
But what about the other ballet schools? Because that's what you have experienced with the Easy Talent Ballet Academy. Just to point out to the audience who is listening to you, is not all Egypt who is like that. There are the very good people. There are the other ballet schools that they work very
Yes.
professionally, they work very well,
Yes.
but you had the mischance or the unfortunate experience
Yes.
to fall into a wasp
Yeah.
nest, which belongs to Mrs. Nina, which I'm very sad to hear all that because
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting to hear or such. But unfortunately, in ballet, in dance, in the performing arts, this situation exists. Who less, who more, but they exist. So this
Yes.
can go to a simple dancer, to a simple choreographer, and also to artistic director. Because now, for instance, there are in some ballet companies artistic director who lost the job because or they decided to quit, or because they were forced to quit the ballet company. So this is why I am happy about this interview that you have been doing today, because this might help the performing art to establish better contact with the dancers, with the choreographers, and especially to write everything, all the conditions that from both sides has to be respected. So then finally,
Yes.
you
Definitely.
finally you traveled back to Germany after Egypt.
Yes. And I first to the first point to go. Yeah, I think before I mentioned about Egypt that I was a returning guest teacher through the years.
Yes.
And I only had good experience in Egypt. I mean, ironically, all of these schools were ran by Egyptians, except Resonance Alexandria, which is unfortunately it finished its work, even though it was run technically by an Egyptian. They were the most amazing, welcoming, sweetest people, nailing everything. And yet, a school which is owned by a European woman, which I expected to be really even more settled, more crystallized, was a living nightmare. So judgment here doesn't work. I was just lucky enough to hit the jackpot with this school, yes.
Yes.
And beside that, what you said is something very interesting also, Jean-Pierre, about the companies. Because I was working in a company in Germany, and I went through in that one company. Overall, I had very good experience in companies. Like I was principal dancer, leading dancer, soloist. But there was one company where I met with bully. I met with gaslighting also, mobbing. And actually, this is why I decided to leave and found my own company.
Mm.
And ironically, this director moved to another theater. And now there are problems because the dancers were speaking up about the artistic leadership because they said no to this kind of despotic, mobbing, gaslighting behavior. They wanted to work with someone who truly evaluates them, truly cares about them. And actually now, after this experience, for me, it's a therapy and a renewal of speaking up. Because actually, I failed these three projects because I was straight up. I stood up for tenderness, for sincerity, because how can I do art if I'm not a sincere person? How can I work with people, promote all these beautiful thoughts if I'm not authentic myself, what I'm doing?
Mm.
And now, actually, after this school, if I will, most probably I will continue my journey in Hungary in the conservatory where actually I studied. I want to bring this sincerity to teach my students for that, to stand up for yourself, set boundaries, and beside the hard work, it's important to understand, to communicate, and be straight up. And my dream is now also, in the long term, I want to open an art center where I teach people, I collect people who are like-minded, giving chance for young artists to show their work and work through that, this new mentality, like a hotspot of art,
Mm.
because I think it's a new time is coming now where this change will be implemented. I do believe the more we speak up, we set the limits, and not just we work, we are exploited. We give our soul out for something which is just used for the other person to grow. This time must end. And I think sincerity is the key for that.
Yes, I agree with you, Peter, because I think that as in your case, if you take a general situation in every country, in every ballet company, or in many ballet academies, there must be dancers who have not the opportunity and the power to make a revolution. Because, you know, when you work in a ballet company, you have to keep your mouth shut. But you see many awkward things, many awkward situations that you have to keep your mouth shut. Otherwise,
Yes.
you are fired.
Yeah.
So I think that now it's the time where the dancers have to talk. They have
Yes.
to make their own revolution and talk about the things that are not working properly in a ballet company. Because it's very nice
Yes.
that artistic director or choreographers, when they see a young dancer, they say, you are not able to dance. You are not able to do anything. Your technique is not good. But there is nobody in a ballet company who will tell to the choreographer, who will tell to the artistic director, my dear friend, you are not even able to peel a potato because you are not even able to run a ballet company.
Exactly. Exactly. This is what I believe. And I think this is why I think crucial point number one is to start this revolution in education.
Yes.
Because if there is this crazy hierarchical game in between students, teacher-student relationship, it reproduces itself, this cycle.
Yes.
Instead, teaching the students on self-awareness, who am I, who I am, what are my pros, what are my cons, giving them ability to work on conflict resolution,
Yes.
be sincere, and which also drives me crazy is this brainwashing of humbleness. Yes, I'm humble because I work every day. I do my best. I'm here. I treat my colleagues kindly. I speak with honesty. Humble doesn't mean that things which are disgusting can be done to me.
Yes.
It's not, it's a no-go. And this is why now as a pedagogue, one of my main mission, and as a choreographer also, but actually as a choreographer I'm doing it already,
Yes.
is to work humanly.
Yes.
Give the chance for the person, treat them with kindness, talk to them. Sometimes, yeah, they can, sometimes chemistry is not there or there is a complication, but I'm really sure with sincerity, with honesty, communication, both sides, miracles can happen. It's basic human behavior, and it's very crazy because now I'm talking with my partner about workplaces lately. He's actually also quite art oriented, but he doesn't work in art anymore. Um, it tells me like nowadays in the employment market, people become most like I recruit my workplace because these new days, the employers are looking for workers. Okay, bonus, we give you a car, phone, this and that. We give you this condition, home office, da 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 da. Where is us? I was working in theaters for years for a minimum salary, living month by month, and I was the one who worked 6 days a week. Even in Christmas, Easter, doesn't matter. I had to be on stage because I was humble and dedicated to do that.
Yes.
But that's what the directors must understand that, okay, there's a huge market of dancer. One position has 10,000 people. Still, these people are humans. And you don't have the right to treat them this way because you were also once there. You were also once a student there. Maybe you were talented or lucky or you had a network. As we know, network can help a lot, but it's a process. So treat these people nicely. So even when I was in my company and we did the audition, the selections, I answered to every single applicant with an email, every single one. And even if a dancer I felt that this girl or boy has something, but the video is not right, I did my own research on YouTube or Vimeo. I spent 15 hours a day to check the applicants, but this was my job. I went into that because I know I have empathy enough to understand. And actually through that, because of second chance, and let's see, I feel some of our dancers in the first generation were with us because I really gave myself the time to really choose through that.
Yeah,
And I think this is one of the principles of art, of being human, you
yeah.
know. So,
No, unfortunately, ballet companies don't consider too much humanity. They consider because they think that when they have a ballet dancer or a ballet teacher, they think they have a machine in front of them, but there is no humanity.
mm,
So,
yeah, I met with this. I met also with very human directors who were really
yeah,
sweetheart, and it's really never know. But in general, yeah, there is this tendency that we are thought that we are working machines and we must deliver no matter what.
yes,
At least in Germany, in the theaters was, with one exception, for me was not like that. Was quite human, quite okay. But before I met also, like in freelance or anywhere, I met also choreographers who were completely not acknowledging us. They were treating us like a piece of shit. Sorry to say that, but
mhm,
and I was shocked. Like you were not dancer before. You were not having your moments. I don't say that to be a snowflake, because I'm really myself. I'm a worker machine. But still, just ask the person what's going on. Like, do you need women to talk? Let me. Are you okay? What can I do for you? Something to give a safe space for the dancer. Like to don't feel like I'm under pressure because just talk, and then the rest will come. But there is always a solution. Not like treat us like machines because actually we do art. We are not a circus, and I think the next evolution in dance art itself is going to start when these principles will be completely understood and not being used for political or territorial gains. Because I met many directors, also choreographers, who talk in the air about their humanity and art and being so creative together. But when you see the work and you are there doing it, it's completely the opposite. You are in the dictature, you must do all the job, and the choreographer puts the name, his or her name on it, out. And then you will just stand like, where was this welcoming, creative hub humanity words? So I think dance must reach soon this level of genuinity, authentic level, and then a new era will begin. That's my opinion.
yes. I totally agree with you, Peter. As I said before, not all, of course, not all companies and ballet academies are the same, and they all
Mm,
have different point of views, one from the other. But
mm,
returning back to Egypt, I want to point out that not all ballet academies in Egypt are behaving like easy
mm.
talent, because
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
there are some who are working very well and they try to reach a professional standard.
Mm,
But unfortunately for you, you have fallen into
yes.
this bad experience. But never mind. And
Yes.
but now that you have enriched yourself with sad experiences also, what do you think you
Yes.
could try to do avoiding this same sad experience as a director or as a choreographer
Mm.
or a ballet company?
I do believe actually what really helps me, and what is a very crazy paradox with me, I'm really, really deeply interested in psychology, really interested. And I realized through the years, I started to work on myself a lot. It's like a slow, deep work. I
Yes.
started to understand my patterns, where it comes from in childhood, what I need to work.
Mm.
And eventually, for personal relationships, I learned it very well. I know what is my limit, my boundaries, I say it. And I, on a very tender way, but I keep out.
Okay.
Professionally, I'm learning now to set boundaries. I think it's very important to speak clearly. It's also about, you don't have to give up all your values for a position. Maybe, yeah, it's hard sometimes to let something go,
Mm.
but actually, in the end, you do the best favor to yourself to say no to something, because in the end, you you give space for something what might be yours truly. If it finds you, it will find you.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important for the dancers to understand also this personality types, also the dark triad in psychology, the narcissistic, etc., etc. Because unfortunately, as in the business world, many directors are narcissistic people. They, tell you all the sugar coating. They are the victims always. As for example, this Israeli Dutch guy was who I worked with. For years, I was gaslighted by his ideas, by his victimizing, and I was always trying to please him in every way, to give him the best artistic work, to make him happy, also as a friend. So I was completely blinded. And the thing is, for dance, it's also important to adapt these things because we are in the end all humans. So if you see the red flags, check on these personal problems, narcissistic disorder, etc. If you feel these red flags, you start to work with, start to question, start to set boundaries. Even if it's a director, look, I don't want you to talk to me in this way. I'm sorry, If you have a problem, please talk about it privately, but I don't like if I'm mobbed in front of other people. Or for example, what I did with Miss Nina now, I told her, look, I want this, 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 this. If it's not working, I have to go. And it's also about addressing the problem, because if you start to accuse someone, you do that, 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 you create more conflict. If you say that, look, I feel personally this way, what do you think? It opens up for a whole discussion. So I think it's more about self-awareness for the dancers to understand self-knowledge, and it's not the way that they become even more under, or on a very vulgar way said, kissing the butt of the director, because it will create just this servant boss idea. And many choreographers, I saw it, they like to hook up someone like this, hang in front of the bone or the carrot for a horse, but it will never reach. But they use it for the agenda. So I think it's very important to keep your own dignity, take care of yourself, love yourself more than get into a pool of a shark with sharks in it.
Mm.
So better to retreat. And now actually I'm very, very happy in these last weeks because I started to understand more about it. Actually, I was saved from Nina. This dance company gave me the chance, even if this person asserted it, completely twisted out my best intentions. I'm not there anymore, unfortunately or fortunately. So all the things what it does, it's not mine anymore. But I learned, how to build a company. I'm capable of writing applications. I'm capable of winning applications. I'm capable of now programming, marketing. I know how to build a web page properly. I can cut videos really well now.
You
I'm a
had a
photographer. So
you had a very
yeah, I
wide
learned.
experience, very wide.
Sorry?
You had a very wide experience.
Yes. Yes, and nobody can take it away. So therefore, maybe one day I can open my own company. I can still do the same. Maybe this person who took all this from me, he will not be able. But I have my friend who can make a new logo. I have the brain to give a name. I have the vision.
Yeah.
For Nina, for a ballet school, well, I think it's not a question. I can go anywhere. Now I will work in a national conservatory in Hungary, and I'm so touched. But my teachers, they told me, please come. We need you. We would like to have you here with us because you are young, you have experience, you can bring us something new. I mean, it means the world to me.
Yes.
And for this Vietnamese work, I told to the director in the end because he started to also as a narcissist call me out on things like victimizing himself. I said, look, you are in the position. I was there through my company. You cannot do that to leave someone out, and I'm losing everything. I don't get an apology from you, not reaching out, and I don't want to pay my compensation for my medical checkup money. No, you will do that because it's your responsibility.
Yeah.
So I gained a lot. I became now more direct. I give more voice for if I'm vulnerable. I can express more now my feeling, and I can also be more sincere, like just genuinely speaking.
Yes.
And I lost my sense of I lost my sense of fear. I'm not afraid anymore because If you want to work with me for who I am. If you don't want, it's okay. The world is big enough for us. But definitely, I just got now more motivated to one day open a school or a place where, I can really work with people and help them to find themselves, help them to find this awareness, and maybe one day it will add to this new generation of artists who might hopefully will think differently about how the dance world
Well,
is.
I really wish with all my heart that you succeed in doing something that may change and develop a new uh, point of views and more safety in the ballet companies. And maybe your story is just the point of an iceberg, but probably there must be the complete iceberg who is under the water, and that many dancers
Mm.
don't have enough strength, enough power to highlight and to talk because they are scared to talk. Of course, during the interview, I said that your interview and might do a revolution in the world of dance. I mean, a revolution in the good way, not in the bad way that we using weapons and killing people or artistic directors or choreographers. No, but
Yeah.
in the good way, I mean, just to talk and to highlight the different points of views of the choreographer and the dancers and the artistic director without falling into conflict. So,
Exactly, because
yes, sorry.
sorry,
No,
I'm
no,
sorry to interrupt. I just
no, no.
something what you said very beautifully, you formulated. It's like I really believe that it's not about actually what you say, it's not about fighting. It's when you fight, it's not the clean way.
Yes,
You speak and you are. And then it might create a certain movement, maybe not. But there is an other way, which shows itself. If it's fighting, it's already creates this aggression and
yes.
negative
But I understand
way.
you very well, Peter, because as you have experienced these sad stories, ballet dancers usually they have many fights to do, and they have first of all to fight against themselves, because this is
Yes.
the most terrible fight that a dancer must undertake, is to fight
Mm.
against yourself. I have been
Yes.
also a ballet dancer, and I was fighting against myself because I knew where were my limits, I knew where were my weaknesses, but I had to fight against
Mm.
myself to gain confidence, to gain strength. So when a dancer is
Yes.
doing his own battle against himself or herself, especially for the technique and also mentally, he
Yes.
cannot afford to make a second battle against the ballet company or the artistic director or the choreographer, because mentally is going to be a dropped down, a completely flop for the head. A dancer
Yeah.
will not be able to make two battles, is able to do only one battle.
Yes. Yes. This is something very delicate, what you said, and I really feel you because all of us have this battle with us. What is my limit? How far I can go? But I think through to understand the self, when you start to really map yourself up, who I am, start to get into your own psychology. In the same time, it helps you to accept yourself, like at least in my experience, I accepted myself in a very early age. That's my limit. That's me. But let's cook with what I have. But I always walked away from companies actually whenever I had something which was not okay or was okay. Like, okay, good. I go to the next place. It's I would say, like, I walk away because it doesn't serve me anymore. It can be something not bad. It's just I grew it out. It's like a clothes, or it's not me anymore. It's normal. It's our evolution. So, for example, from the last ballet company I worked where this mobbing was, I just walked away because I was like, no, I don't deserve that. But now, actually, I'm now getting into choreography and pedagogy. I feel more freedom now to express. Maybe that's why I feel now this urge to speak up because I don't have this, oh my God, I will not work with this and that person anymore because of, I don't have that. I work for myself, I work for students.
Yes, yes,
I choreograph. So it became to me as something very different. And in the same time, I started to understand something. If I'm not needed
mm,
for being true, then I'm sorry, this is just not what the place where I would like to be, or it's not the artist who I want to work with. And I decided now since I came back from Egypt, I went through the hell of my life. I was blaming myself, had panic attacks, crying. I went through hell. And since 2 weeks, something happened to me. I started to really like blossom again. Um, and I realized actually I just want to be true to myself, and that's it. I don't have time to fight with people. I don't have time to, I just walk away. But now, after being quiet for all these years, and when it attacks my new chapter of being a teacher or treated badly, or my own dance company, it attacked a certain big things, especially that you build a company in a young age, you give it all for 2 years nonstop.
yes, yes,
And this is what you get after. I brought this choreographer to Germany. Um, I was there for him as a friend, and I don't say that he was helping a lot to me. But there was always this motive. I had to realize it that it's not friendship even. It was just a motive for him to keep me hooked in this
yes,
game of getting and getting, a bit of dropping some good thing, like seemingly kind thing, but was always a motive behind. So, on a way, I'm very happy that I got rid of all these people from my life. I'm very happy to be free. Actually, through this crazy chaos in my life, I met my partner, which without it, I would never help. And I'm learning a lot through this relationship also about me. So I'm very grateful for this period actually, and I'm looking forward for a new beginning. But in the same time, I really want to work on it to somehow add to this change. Maybe will happen. It won't be everybody companies,
yes.
but maybe it can add to a new wave, a new era
Yes,
of
I'm sure you will find a new way to build up something better, much, much better than and avoiding all these mistakes from the other ballet academies and ballet
Mm,
companies. Uh, Peter, we are nearly reaching the end of our interview.
yes. Yeah.
So, because you know what happens if the interview is too long, you
Yeah.
will see people in front of the computer who will do, they
Yeah,
will,
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. Yes.
so,
Yes. Yes.
so there is one thing I wanted to ask you. Your interview is going to be broadcasted, uploaded on YouTube. Do you accept?
Okay. I do accept.
Okay. You know that the world of ballet is very big, is very wide,
Yeah.
is also very small. So,
Yeah.
what do you think if your interview might go in the ears of the people that you have mentioned? What would they react?
Look, that's the thing. If I don't have courage, if I don't have the balls to speak up, what can happen? I have nothing to lose. Like I'm talking the truth, and I just really hope it will resonate with many people, and maybe there will be other people who went through similar.
Yes.
But that's the thing. Actually, first time in my life, I'm doing that. I always walked away like this. I kept it in. And now I want to just speak because I feel like I deserve now to speak after all what happened to me,
Yes,
and I need I it's for my own personal justice, that
yes.
that's the whole thing. So I take responsibility.
Okay. And would you encourage dancers who have the same problem, not really the same, but similar problems as yours, to watch your interview? Would you send the link of your interview to other dancers?
I will definitely I'm going to actually share it on my social media definitely. I
Okay.
would like to be heard. I want people to know what happened because there is a lot of question mark in people's head. Why am I not anymore in my own dance company? Why did I leave from Egypt? Although for Egypt I informed the parents, but still, it's nice if people are aware. And it's also aware that they are international, they hear that, so they know that, for example, this dance school is a no-go to go if they have a healthy, positive self-worth, for a workplace, they don't go there.
I repeat, there are many ballet schools in Cairo, in Alexandria, but
Exactly, yes, there are many
are
schools.
very, very good
Yes,
teachers, very good dancers,
exactly.
and they work
Yes.
much better than the Easy Talent Academy. Uh,
Exactly. All I'm saying is to be aware about this one school because through the years which I spent in Egypt with much, much joy, much, much happiness, I never ever I only had the opposite human, kind, professional, sweet treatment. So people don't think Egypt is a hell. It's a very nice place.
no, no, no.
Just avoid this one.
I agree with you because if you take Egypt and you take all Northern Africa countries, Egypt, Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, and Libya, you find very nice people, very cheerful people. They have a great hospitality.
Yes, 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 yes.
And of course, they have a different culture from the
Yes.
European one. But if you are an adaptable person, you are happy everywhere in the
Yes.
world. It's not only in Northern Africa. You can go to India, you can go to South America,
Everywhere.
anywhere,
This
and
is the
always
thing.
be happy. We are having problems with internet.
The internet is a,
Yes, it's all going having up and downs. Never mind.
yeah, it's the internet.
Uh, Peter,
I agree with you, though. I agree with you.
yes. So, ladies and gentlemen,
I agree about
ladies and gentlemen
the
of
internet is really.
ladies and gentlemen of Ballet International and YouTube watcher and audience. Today you have watched the interview of our prestigious artist Péter Copek, who is from Hungary. He has been working in Netherlands, then in Germany, then in Vietnam, then in Egypt. And I really wish that he succeeds in creating something new, something better, and that will make think ballet companies everywhere in the world. So really thank you, Peter, for participating to
Thank
this
you so much for having
interview.
me.
It
Thank
was
you.
an honor to have you. Yes, tell me.
Yeah. Jean-Pierre, I'm so sorry. You can cut it later. I wasn't working Vietnam because it was craziness. I worked in Netherlands, Hungary, Germany, Egypt. Just
Oh, so it was a mistake from my side. So he has not been working in Vietnam. I just correct. I'm not going to cut. You know, people they say that I am a very bad interviewer. They are
No, you are not.
Yeah, they are right because I'm not a journalist. Just a dancer who is questioning other dancers. This is it. So I do plenty of mistakes. I'm a flop in interviews, but I try to do my best. So
You do very well. So tender, so kind. Really.
So I really do hope that we shall meet again and in interview or alive somewhere or maybe work together. And thank you again very much, Peter. I hope that this.
Thank you so much for your kindness, for inviting me. Thank you so much. Yes,
So
definitely.
you stay.
I
You
wish
stay,
you a wonderful evening and
you stay online 1 little minute.
Hmm?
Stay online 1 little minute.
Yes.